Alright, you're with Al, and this is Chronicles of a Not Yet Champion Golfer. So my video this week isn't from in here, I'm just filming the intro. But before I start, I want to say thanks to Simon at SAS Golf, who did a video on the most underrated golf YouTube channels. And I come out #1, which was brilliant for me, and I got quite a lot of subscribers off the back of that. So thanks to Simon, and thanks to everyone that's come over and subscribed. It's really appreciated. I meant to ask most videos if people could subscribe and stuff, and I always forget, to be honest. So if you could, that'd be brilliant. It helps me out a lot, but everyone that already has, really appreciate it. So anyway, yeah, this week's video, I was in Tenerife. I don't know if you've seen the previous videos, most of them have been from Tenerife last few weeks, but I've been back home a couple of weeks now, and I've hardly been able to get out on the golf course because the weather's been horrendous. The one day I actually got out there, which what today's video is going to be, it was that Storm Ciara, or whatever it was, and it was horrendously windy. Now in the video it might not sound that windy because I've got one of them little furry squirrel jobbies as a microphone, but it was ridiculous. See, told you. But I just thought I could make a decent bit of practice out of weather that I probably normally stay at home in. So it's just 3 holes because I didn't want to be out there any longer than I needed to be. 3 holes. Tee off normally on whatever hole you're on, and then your approach shot, whether it's your 3rd shot into a par 5 or your tee shot into a par 3, 2nd shot into a par 4, whatever it is. Your approach shot, you're going to hit 3 balls and change the shot that you hit each time with a different club. And then you pick your worst ball, wherever the worst one finished, and you play the hole out with that, and then you score for the 3 holes. So just a bit of a quick game, keeps you focused, keeps you concentrating. There's actually a results-based thing you're trying to score as you would do in a tournament, and it just gets you a little bit more creative with your shots into the green. It was actually quite enjoyable, like a bit of a challenge and ridiculous wind. Tested out the game quite a bit, and I kind of know where I need to work on as well, so it doesn't need to be ridiculous wind, but it just gets you developing your shots really. A little bit of imagination's needed. You're developing skills and being able to take a bit of spin off, knock a flight down, take a bit of pace off your swing for a longer club, whatever it might be. Hopefully you enjoy it. I'll get cracking. Al, in the wind, go on. The wind's like strong. Stop. Whoa, camera nearly went. The wind's like strong. Fearing that camera going into, out the left. So I've teed it up on the right side of the tee so that it can go into the wind to start with. So I'm teeing up left, I'm getting on the wind and it can go miles right, and I don't want that happening. So there's now a tractor going across the fairway I'm going to have to wait for. There he is there. Go on. Go on. Literally couldn't go any slower. As I was saying, I'm going to play it low because the higher it goes, the more you're trusting on the wind, and I don't trust this wind. It's so gusty. So I'm going to tee it up low, going to get my weight a little bit left. Now it might not go as far as it might do if I hit it up in the air. It's not like it's going to spin up loads because the driver's been well fitted. It hasn't. I actually got it off the biff, but it seems to like work alright. So I'm going to go a little bit more towards the middle of the stance, weight less side, and just keep it there. Start it low, up the left and a little fade. Don't change ball position too much because if you put it back in your stance of driver, you can tend to fall back on it, and that's when you get it going right. So keep it forward in the stance, just move the sternum left, more over the ball and keep it over it. Come on, a little bit more. Yeah, that's good. We'll take that. I feel like I drew that a little bit and it's still. When the weather's like this, I wouldn't say you want it to come out for hours and spend loads of time swinging a golf club in these conditions, because it's not going to do your swing great at all. But you do need to play in these conditions and you need to have control over your golf ball, and it's an area of the game I want to improve in, because I feel like last few seasons that if I went out and conditions were really good, I had the game there, but literally that hardly ever happened. So we're on a par 5, so I'm laying up my 2nd shot, so I've got to pick a yardage, which I want to give myself 80 yards in. I feel like I can use my 3 wedges from there. So 220, I've got to hit it 140. The pressure's on. The pressure's on since off the tee. Your fairway shots is you want to get in a position where you can then score. You don't want to be hitting out the rough with your 3 clubs. 140. I'm going to play
quite a strong hook with a 7-iron. I know that sounds a bit daft to say hook, but the wind's so strong in throughout the left, they're hitting a hook, it should just hold against it. Yeah. And again, that's why these conditions, you can get something out of it. Like I said, you don't want to stand hitting loads of balls, but hitting those sort of shapes is something that I probably wouldn't normally feel that comfortable controlling it against. But it almost decides the shot for you, so we're into the bit where the game actually starts now. I think we've laid it up quite good. We're there. Pitch mark. Little pitch mark there. 70 yards, not 80. Over it at 10 yards, but I'm happy with that in this condition. Right, 3 balls. So the first shot you play has to be the club that you would normally use from that position. So for me, in these conditions, I'd use a 54. So now I've got 2 other clubs to choose. So I'm going to use my 54. I'm going to go 50. And it's either 58 or pitching wedge. I'm going to go pitching wedge. I just think this wind, 58, just spins up miles. 54 to start then. Not really I'm going to play it a little bit back in the stance, but the thing is, when it's like these conditions, don't get flashy with the hands. Got to make sure the body turns, otherwise you get flashy, loads of spin on it, and the ball ends up coming back to you. I'll show you that in the next hole, because that's a par 3 to be straight into, but leave it, Win, leave it now. Oh, that's lovely, that. I think that's stiff. The bad thing, well, it's not a bad thing. The hard thing about the game is that's not going to be a worse shot, so I'm not going to get to play that one. So we're on to 50 now. Again, it's all about just picking your spot that you want to hit it. And keep in mind, I know I'm waffling on a lot here, keep in mind when you talk about a yardage, so this is 70 yards, but it's probably playing, well, again, it depends what club you've got. So if it's 70 yards and straight into it, I'm hitting a 58, it's probably playing 100, just because 58 is going to spin up loads. Whereas if it's 70 yards and I'm playing a 50, it's probably playing 75, because a 50 is going to come out a lot flatter, a lot less spin. So it's knowing what club you're using and how much the wind's going to affect it. So a 50 isn't going to affect it as much as it affects a 54. So I'm not going to aim quite as far left, and I'm going to take a little bit more off it because it's going to go a bit further. It's come out a little bit flatter with less spin. And then the same with the wedge. 70 yards, I'm going to play it as if I'm hitting a 50 degree 75. Sit, 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 sit. It's gone so far. Come out like a bullet. That's where it's difficult. That's where it's difficult, because you just overhit it. Got to make sure you don't overpace it. It's all about being a little bit slower with the arms and the body still turning through it, so it just comes out a bit flatter but doesn't absolutely take off like that. Pitching wedge should be fun anyway, eh? One thing I'm trying to work on my pitching is I don't like that one when it gets steep, so I'm kind of trying to get to the top and turn into my left arm, so the club almost gets left behind me as a feeling. That's why it comes out a little lower. That last one with the wedge was like zero conviction. Like literally zero conviction, just afraid of getting that one that just flies straight through it. It's not turned out like so bad. But the shot I chose, the 54, is the one I'd normally hit. And to be fair, I've not far off holed it. That's there, that's the 54. That's the wedge. and the 50 is through the back of the green somewhere. Delightful. This is disappointing, isn't it? It's not a waste of time because it's always nice to hit a good shot and know that actually the shot I chose was the right one. And I take confidence from knowing that I would have birdied it with my first ball, but this one I've got to play and try and get it up and down. I have flown that miles. I know you can't see the shot from there, but I was going to talk you through a routine that I've got at the minute, which seems to be really good for me chipping. Is being so into like the routine, feeling that me practice swing, I'm actually playing the shot. So I'll have the practice swing and actually really try and feel as if I'm hitting the ball, watch it in real time, picture it rolling, and literally as if I'm playing it. I've got the wrong wedge. So when you watch me play the shot, you'll see me play the chip shot in the practice swing as if it's the proper shot. Step in, not waste any time, because it's so easy for negative thoughts to come in when you stood there over the ball thinking, oh no, how many times am I going to hit this? So on that note, actually, it was from this spot years ago, right? Years ago, when probably, I guess I was probably like 20 odd. No, I'd come back from America, I reckon I was 22, 23. I hit it so many times from the same spot that I NR'd because I didn't know how many times I'd hit it. The double hit rule wasn't in then, you get away with it now. That's a positive thought before you play it, isn't it? I'm giving myself this, really. Okay, that's a par. Nice little up and down, but you can see that with the chip. Well, to say it's transformer chipping, it's not far off. I almost just feel like I don't think of anything as I'm hitting it. I can stand up and playing it that quickly after my routine. I've already seen the shot. Get on, head cover, get on. Sorry, hold on. The Biff's putter on it. Yeah, just not allowing any stupid thoughts come into my head because it's something that I genuinely have done and stand there and mid-swing you say stupid stuff like, I don't know, oh, duff or something. Actually taking that time away and just standing up and hitting it, yeah, makes a big difference. Anyway, this one's going to be interesting now. Right, 120 we've got, but the wind is straight gale into. Right, I'd normally use here in this wind, I'd be tempted to play a little knockdown with a 7. That's what I'll use. I'm going to go 7, but then it's the other two decisions going to be tough. So I'm going to go 7, 8, and I either go 6 or 9. 120. Honestly, I think 9 are just balloon. I'm going to have to hit 6. So I'm hitting 7 first, then 8, and 6. The key is not getting like really aggressive and steep, trying to keep it down, because that can just spin the ball up. So you want to keep it like the club head always stays low for as long as it can through the ball. It's not driving down, it's just staying low, kind of level with the ground, keeping the loft off it a little longer, almost like it's a straight line between club and left arm for as long as you can. And don't get, like I said, it's hard, you still want to accelerate through it, but don't get flashy with it. Make sure the body keeps turning. Hang on, go a bit, go a bit. Whoa, 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 didn't need to go. Why have I chose 6 iron? That's a nice shot, really nice. It's gone through it and into the bunker at the back. 8 iron now. Same swing with an 8 iron, should actually do the job. It feels like it's calmed down a little bit now. Lovely, but it shows, I think that's only just got front edge, and that felt like the same swing as the 7 iron, but the 7 iron's gone straight through the wind. 8 iron spun up a little bit, so the difference in the two, it's more than one club difference, if you know what I mean. It's almost like the difference between a 7 and 8 iron is 2 clubs. I realise that makes no sense, but it's just how much the wind affects it. Right, I chose a 6 iron, so I've got it at 6. You've just got to get creative with shots. Literally just going to chip it through that gap. That's 7. Don't cheat, Al. Didn't get the 6 out of the bag, did I? Right down the grip, take a bit of speed off it. Go on then. Go on then. Go on then. Go on then. You'd never pick that shot. I've hit it about that high, but it's the closest one. I've hit it to about 8 foot, I think. Typical. So the one club I would want to use was the worst one. I think as much as anything else, and this is ironic me saying this, but when it's this windy, you've got to cut yourself a bit of slack and know that it's so unpredictable. You can feel the wind where you are, but up there, it can be totally different. Your ball can get a gust, the wind can die mid-shot, you know, it's so much out of your control. You can just try and do as well as you can do, accept it and then carry on. As it happens, I actually played the first shot, the one with the club I would have chosen, probably the best of all 3 of them, and it's gone straight through the wind and it's in the back trap. So another up and down required, but you can see the challenge of this game now and the focus being on scoring. You're under pressure with every shot. You want to hit it as close as you can to give yourself a chance to make the birdie or easy par, whatever it might be. There's the other 2, by the way. That's the 8 iron, so there you go, it didn't get up. That's the 6 iron, and the 7 iron is, it landed like close, but where did it finish? Oh, tongue onto the edge there. So that's what we're left with. Little bit of an upslope, exact same routine as the last. I've got 54, I'm not using my most lofted because the slope's going to pop it up in the air a bit. But to play it off the upslope, it's so much about strike, so I'm going to lean a little bit into the slope. Now if I go that way, I'm going to hit it to the moon. A little bit into the slope, so I'm hitting a bit down into the back of the ball. And I always like to feel like I'm a little bit open for this shot, just because the slope's going to stop me from turning through it and clearing myself, even though it's a short shot. So exactly the same routine as the last. Go. Go. Just popped up on me. I mean, I don't mind it because I played it like I wanted to play it. It's just popped up on me. Probably could have used a 50 and got a bit more run out of it. Yep. So it's the exact same routine. Picture it going in, don't waste any time. That's like a bonus up and down. Those putts in the winter are never easy to hole. The greens are never rolling quite as good as they can in the summer. Looks like summer on camera, but it's not. I feel like this is a wind that suits me. Hard out the right and down. I can just see it like at that oak tree in the distance. And I feel like I can hit this hard. Just commit to it because trouble's left, but if I leave it out a bit right, the wind's helping it, so it's going to hold its line. And on the target I'm hitting up the right, it's not going to move more than 60 yards unless I hit like an absolute shocker, in which case it deserves to go in the trees. But some shots just suit you, don't they? And I feel like this one, I can just commit to it and smash it. Commit to it and smash it. I enjoyed that tee shot. There's no, oh look, what's he called? It's not a moorhen, is it? See him? Is it a coot? Is that what it is with a little white beak? See him in there? Oh, there's a duck in there as well. Look, there's a coot and a duck. Do you think they're like mates? They like get on. See the duck in the trees, and then there's the coot. And they're always him whenever I speak to them. I don't mean to be sexist about that. I don't know why I see them as him. subject. You're limited on wildlife opportunities when you're only playing 3 holes. You know, that was it really. A coot and a duck. But they'd all deserve as much airtime as each other. I appreciate them all, to be honest. Might get a squirrel or something up here. There's a hare up here as well. I've seen it quite a few times, but I haven't got him on the camera yet, I don't think. So, fingers crossed for that. If I take this out, the microphone, does it sound windier? Does that sort of sound how windier it is? Here's my ball, like in fairness. Where is it? There. That's pretty much as far up as I'm going to get on this hole. That's as good as I can get, really. Got another pitch shot in now. Right, 85 yards. This is where I like this game, and when you can sort of pick the holes that you play, I like it more so with the wedges, just to vary those sort of shots with knocking it down and flighting it a bit, and distance controls obviously a massive premium then, which is why there's pressure off the tee as well. So although it's testing your shots into the green more than anything else, you've got to put it in position to start with, which fortunately I have here. So 85 yards. Wind is like that way, down at the right. So it's with 3 wedges. I've got in my bag at the moment 58, 58-12, 54, 14, and a 50-08 lambkin cord grip modus 125 wedge shaft. But I'm going to be changing my clubs, so I'll do what's in the bag. A few people have asked for that, so we'll be changing these. But for now, this shot, I'm going to use 54. And I'm using 54. 58, I'll get there and I will play it as one of the shots, but I just see 58 getting high in the wind and moving a lot right to left. 54, I can play it knocked down a little bit. I can try and play it a little bit lower. So I'm going to feel like a turn into that left hand, almost feel like it bows, and just keep that bow. Keep turning, club stays low, back of the left hand keeps going at the target, and it just stops it flicking because I can't afford that left one, and it should come out quite low but control the spin on it. A little short. It's gone up a bit higher than I wanted to. It's gone into the wind a bit. If that's the worst one, I've got a chance for a birdie. .58, and I'm going to have to be aggressive. It's going to come out high in a minute into the wind. So it's going to have to be strong into it. Although predominantly it's more down, I'm going so far into the wind to start, and it's going to go high. I'm going to play it, it's 85 yards, I'm going to play like a 90-yard shot, so quite a strong 58 really. Come on, wind! Wind! Being funny. Blowing a gale. Blowing a gale, it stayed there. Last one, 50. This should come out flatter, so it shouldn't have to start it as far right. And that's what I want. I want it coming out lower, not relying on the wind to bring it back, because like I said, it's so unpredictable. Like that 58 just stayed out right. Okay, that one's good. See, the less club I use, the more, you know, I don't need to hit it as hard, I don't need as much speed, which means I'm not putting as much spin on it, which means it's not going to move as much in the wind as well, which is why I think that one's gone the closest the least lofted shot has gone the closest and the most lofted one is the furthest away. So that might tell me something when the wind's like this for pitching. That's what this game's all about. You can learn quite a lot about yourself. 3 holes is enough. 3 holes is more than enough. There's the 3 balls. Nearest one on the left is the 50 degree, 54, and that's the 58 that stayed outright. It's a chance for a birdie. Anything around level par, if you can get under in this game, it's good going. Go. Ah! Wobble left. No birdie. There's a divot in the hole. So I know there's not loads, you know, wasn't loads of technique and stuff in that video, and that's not what it's about. It's about getting out here and making effective practice when otherwise, normally, maybe I wouldn't have come out. But it's actually a good practice for me just to play those 3 holes. Make it a bit of a challenge, so there's a point to it. I'm not just playing for the sake of getting out and getting in again. Trying to score for the 3 holes, not being out here for ages so I don't get freezing. And just developing my game a little bit, playing different shots. I've just played 9 approach shots into greens for 3 holes. I've missed a couple of the greens. I've had to get it up and down, which I have done, which can only be good for your game. So give it a try. See how you get on. Just pick some holes on your golf course. Let me know how it goes. If you're trying, you know, different clubs and you're struggling with something, just ask me a question and I can try and answer it for you as best I can. So other than that, there's some ducks on the bank over here. You want to finish off with that? There they are. See them? Hiya! Hello? Hello? They weren't interested, the ducks then, were they? Oh, alligator there. Little alligator. Hopefully that was it's a good little game to try anyway. Otherwise you don't get out, but I'm going to go in and have a cup of tea. So, thanks for watching. And I'll see you next Tuesday.